I profoundly believe that, Canada is big and beautiful. And my job and the job of the government is to make sure that people in the tourism sector feel proud of what they do and confident in their future. And that's why I profoundly think that the future is bright for the tourism sector in Armstrong, in Vernon, in North Canadian, and in Canada.
So we are pleased to have this opportunity to host you this morning in partnership with the Greater Vernon Chamber of Commerce. And thank you to Fairways Bistro for providing the venue and breakfast and all the volunteers that made that happen. The Honourable Melanie Jolly, elected to the House of Commons for the first time in 2015, was named Minister of Tourism, Official Language and La Francophonie in 2018. Her tourism mandate is to grow and increase the visibility of Canada's tourism sector, which accounts for nearly 2 million jobs across the country. Please give her a warm welcome, Ms. Joy. That's it.
Thank you. Tourism is something that is really important, and being in Armstrong and seeing what the Vernon and Armstrong Chambers of Commerce are doing for the tourism sector, it is obvious that it is such an important economic driver. And so therefore, my biggest job coming into this new portfolio was to make sure that I would defend the 1.8 million people working in the sector and build the credibility of tourism in the eyes of people working in Ottawa. And so that's exactly what I decided to do. And it's not only important for the North Canadian sector, and we know that you guys have the beautiful Canadian Lake. You have great ski resorts, cideries, cheese, but it's also in general because there's a booming industry happening. And if Canada is not playing a bigger role right now, well, other countries will actually go ahead and take our place that we used to hold. How can we ultimately make sure that we have new tourism experiences, things to offer to international visitors that will really make sure that we're completely different from other countries. Our idea is to build a sustainable industry, and to do that, we need to have a year-long tourism season. So we need to invest in winter and shoulder season, and also we need to make sure that people that come to our 3 big cities afterwards go to our different regions, because we have beautiful gems all across the country. Here is obviously clearly a proof of that, but we need to make sure that people can discover these gems, and therefore let's work on how we can support the fact that there are really strong tourism industries all across the regions, all across Canada. To do that, there's 3 things in particular that we're looking at. First, we launched the new federal Canadian Experiences Fund. So the Canadian Experiences Fund is $60 million over 2 years. And the idea is actually to support 5 types of products, 5 types of experiences that businesses and non-for-profit can actually develop on the ground here in the Okanagan and North Okanagan region. So the first one is any products, any experiences that are in line with winter and shoulder seasons. So what can be done during that time of the year, that new products, new experiences that can actually drive people here. The second is everything in line with Indigenous tourism. So we know there's fantastic growth in Indigenous tourism, there's 17% growth. The third thing, and that's really relevant for people in the region and here in the beautiful regions of remote and rural tourism. So how can we help to support strategic planning for the region to develop the tourism sector? And we've seen what tourism has done to here and to the Niagara region, or the Prince Edward County region, and definitely by supporting more of these really beautiful local gems, we will be able to ultimately help to grow the sector. So there's money for rural and remote communities for tourism. The fourth thing is Lgbtq tourism, and we know that the Lgbtq community really travels a lot, 4 to 6 times per year. They're one of the community that spend the most in the world, and if there's a place in the world where the LGBTQ2 communities can feel safe, well, it is clearly here. And obviously, that's why we want to make sure that we have good products to offer them, and market-ready businesses also. And finally, and I was keeping the best one for the end, is culinary tourism, farm-to-table tourism. And that's really relevant to here. So what are we doing to support our farmers markets, to actually have international visitors to go and see them? What are we doing to support our food festivals? And that can become really an event where people will come and discover the great food and the great products. What are we doing for the wine roads or cideries roads that people can discover? And if you have a cidery, for example, how can we support the fact that you can you can renovate and have a welcome center for visitors in order actually to have more of your revenues coming from directly the tourism sector, coming to your own facility. So this is what we are doing actually through the Canadian Experiences Fund, and we think that that will definitely help grow the sector. It's 60 million over 2 years. That money is already available. The second thing we want to do is that in order to create destinations in our country, we need to make sure that we attract more private investments. So we're launching the regional tourism investment groups. So a lot of the key organizations that can work with the local chambers of commerce and with also the important indigenous bands and working also with the tourism industries to actually say, okay, well, what do we do for the North American? How can there be the right infrastructure investments? How can there be much more international tourists coming here? How can there be investments also in accommodation to attract actually more tourists? And how can we develop an entire package that ultimately Canadian Air Canada or WestJet will be interested to come and to showcase and to sell at an affordable price? So that's the idea, to create destinations in the country. Finally, tourism is not at the children's table anymore. It is at the adult table, and all the departments within the government will be looking at the issues within the tourism sector, but also the opportunities. And so we're now finally building the credibility of the tourism sector and basically defending the rights and the realities of the nearly 2 million people in the sector. And so that's the tourism strategy that we launched this week, 2 days ago. So I can't believe it was only 2 days ago. But for now, it is the first time that we actually have a tourism department that is coming up with a real strategy that will change the lives of people here and in Canada. So thank you, and I'm really happy to actually take any questions. Merci beaucoup.